Welcome to my second video in the Phase 1 certification series. This video covers Block 1, which is your kit. It's divided into 3 modules. You can see assembling your kit, kit priorities, and then kit mentality over centuries. So the first thing you had to do here, this is the way all the things are organized. You see you got a couple exercises, and then he asked for a couple deliverables. So the first thing I had to do here was provide a list of kit items and their uses. So again, you look at the DVD where he provides some videos. I actually found better videos over what he calls his 10 C's on his YouTube site, not included on the DVD. So look around, really make sure you're finding everything he has to say on the subject. So he's got this idea of the 10 C's of survival gear. There's the first 5 C's are kind of really the most important, his essentials, and then the next 5 C's are more convenience items, I would say, nice to haves. So the first deliverable here is simply to provide a list of your kit items and their uses. So let's start. First, cutting tool. I got this, the well-known Mora. This particular one is the Mora Carbon Black, and it's a pretty well-known bushcrafting knife. I do not believe it is full tang, so that does have that knock against it. But by all reports, it's plenty strong and up to the task of doing bushcrafty type stuff. You can sort of see it has a little bit of use, but not a whole lot. I'll be putting it through its paces during this class. So the knife obviously is used to process wood, process food, and utility cutting. In addition, it's not one of the 10 C's, but this particular model here has an integrated diamond sharpener, which I really like. Another C is combustion, and it comes with this nicely integrated, fairly decent sized fire steel. Get in there. So that's what I'll be using as my combustion device. Also, on the back, just like Dave suggests, I have just duct taped on a couple needles. He specifically calls out a sail needle as one of his C's, and that's nice. I bought like a multi-pack of different needles, and I kind of liked, rather than the sail needle, I kind of preferred this Glover's needle, which is specifically supposed to be for leather work, and this is a curved mattress needle. I think they both seem like they're a little bit sharper than the sail needle, and both of them, the eyes were a little bit bigger, so it could accept like bigger thread than the sail, at least the sail needle that was included in that kit. Maybe he's got some sail needles that are a little bit different. But so that right there is 3 of his C's: the cutting, combustion, and then the canvas needle, I believe is what he calls it. This is in no particular order. Third eye makes this really nice little headlamp, plenty bright. It's got a couple different settings. This is an SOS setting, and it's got a red light. So this guy here is new to me. My old headlamp, my old primary headlamp actually broke. So this one I'm actually trying out, and don't know anything about the company other than it's got some good reviews, and I think this is their only thing they make, and I think this is the only model. It's the only color. So we'll see how good this is. But yeah, headlamp, really good, and it has multiple uses, signaling, light source, and you can attract maybe fish or crayfish with it. Container is another one of his C's. I chose the Clean Canteen. This is a stainless steel 32 ounce, or actually maybe this is even a 40, now that I think about it. But it's stainless steel, so you can put it in the fire, you can boil your water, you can cook food, you can carry your water, you can have water, and if you poured it from up top into a wound, you could conceivably flush it. Kind of a makeshift irrigation syringe sort of use. Another multi-use item. Moving right along, this is my tarp. So This is cover. This is a AquaQuest Sil Nylon 10x7 tarp. So it's a pretty decent size. It's pretty light, and I could even crush this down a little bit more, I think. This is what they consider their medium size. I like it. I've used this. I didn't buy this for the class. I had it prior to the class. I've used it on a multi-day backpacking trips and car camping, sort of attached to the side of the car, that kind of stuff. Really happy with it so far. Really happy with it so far. Cordage is another of his 10Cs. I don't carry the whole spool like I know a lot of people do. First, because I already have pretty decent sized lengths of cord pre-attached to the tie-outs on the tarp, as well as the ridge line is wrapped up inside here. So that's the main use of the cordage, and it's already in there. So I could maybe carry a little bit more than this, but this is what I have for now, if I need a little extra for something. In addition, canvas tape, I think is what he calls it. Another one of his C's. This is just some duct tape. I don't know the brand anymore, but it's kind of wrapped up on itself to make it the smallest sort of portable package you can. I also usually have a pretty decent length of this wrapped around one or more of my trekking poles. A lot of people will add these to their canteens, but since that canteen's going in the fire, not recommended. But yeah, this, tons of uses. You can make stuff with it. In the past, I've mainly used it to patch up tears in clothing, like rain gear, or even if I have like a collapsible plastic canteen that has like a little pinhole leak, I can put this over that. And cotton is another one of his 10Cs. Another multi-use item. Obviously, it's a pretty large schmog, if I'm pronouncing that right. So you can wet this down, use this as headgear. You can, in a hot environment, you can use this, a little extra layer, maybe warmth around your neck or something. You can use it to strain dirt and debris out of your water before you boil it. You can use little patches of this to create char cloth. So a nice, item with a lot of different uses. And last but not least, we have the Silva Ranger compass. Pretty full-featured compass here. Everything you'd want. Secondary use for the signal mirror. You got a little magnifying glass here, which I'm going to try to start a fire with. I know people do it, so I shouldn't be skeptical, I guess. But it is a pretty small magnifying glass, so it'll be kind of interesting to see. A little scuffed. Kind of interesting to see how difficult or easy that'll be. But these are my 10Cs, at least the ones that I've chosen to meet the requirements of this first deliverable one. Moving right along, deliverable 2, or module 2, the deliverable here is, I gave them in a random order before, what's my order of importance. And really what we're doing here is comparing our order of importance to Dave's order of importance. Like I said before, he's got his 5 Cs, and then he's got his next 5 Cs. The first 5 being the most important. And to make a long story short, I actually bump down the cutting tool and the cordage. Both of these, I bumped these down out of the first 5 because the main purpose for these is negated if you're carrying your shelter and you're not having to build your shelter, and you're not you don't really need a knife so much. The same thing with this cordage. If I can put up the shelter without any cords at all, just like a simple A-frame. So to me, having these two things is less important. The ability to like cut stuff, and I don't need I can just drag firewood over of the appropriate size for a fire, that kind of stuff. So for me, I definitely knock these things down in importance, and in fact I raise up having the light and the compass. So he considers his second set of C's as being less important, nice to have. I think they're more important than that because having this light source here allows you to possibly get home when otherwise you wouldn't. There's been numerous times where I've underestimated the trail or overestimated myself or just got caught by weather or for whatever reason I'm hiking back to the trailhead in the dark. Sometimes you can do that, there's enough ambient light. But other times you need a light, and it's the difference between perhaps staying out uncomfortable overnight, unplanned, and then having to explain yourself at work on Monday when you don't come in. So I think it's much more important than having, say, more cordage to have a good light. And the same thing with compass. I think a compass is important because wherever it is that you're going, you got some sort of purpose in mind, and the compass is what's going to get you there and back. Unless it's simply you're just strictly walking on some trail, and it's well signed. If that's the case, then maybe compass isn't so important. But I have been in positions of needing a map and compass to navigate, including whiteouts above tree line where you can't see anything. You're essentially instruments only navigating. And it really makes a difference. Even being 10 degrees off, would mean that you're descending into the wrong drainage and you're going to be totally effed up. So I think, I'm quite happy to put compass into the more important group of stuff. So that's kind of my quick and easy take, where I differ, I guess, from the standard presentation of the 10 C's by bumping these guys up and moving these guys down. So last but not least, Block 1, Module 3. This was a pretty interesting research project that he gave us. Basically, there was a Otzi the Iceman, which is I think he was like a Paleolithic or maybe Neolithic hunter-gatherer type. Was found in the Alps, and then the 18th century long hunters, which are basically your Daniel Boone types, and George Washington Sears, which was like a 19th century, guide or woodsman. So compare the gear that each of these people carried and see what was the same. So I kind of did my research, I wrote down what they carried, and I've highlighted what was the same between them. So I've actually created, for the purposes of this video, I've created a whole other kit to illustrate what it is they all carried that was the same. So let's move right to that. Here's my kit based on what those three individuals were carrying through the centuries, as Dave puts it. The first thing, they all had some sort of container. So Otzi's case, he had like birch bark containers. There were ditty bags and knapsacks for the other folks. But beside that, they each had some sort of distance weapon to use for hunting. So here's mine. It's the Henry rifle, U.S. survival rifle. It's a little 22, and it breaks down, and it all fits in here. And this is, I haven't tested it out, but this is supposed to be float in water. So there we go. There's my distance weapon. Each of those people, besides that, had a cutting tool. Here's mine. It's a little Rat 3. Each of those people also carried a hatchet or a tomahawk of some sort. This is mine. It's a nice Schrade. And it also comes with this, which was another thing common to all those three people. some sort of method of creating fire. And it's kind of convenient, it fits right in there. And besides that, the last thing they all had, oh, I actually also included fishing. Like hunting and fishing was kind of their thing. Not that Otzi was carrying fishing gear, but basically they all had some ways to procure protein. And then last but not least, they all had some sort of cover. So this is a mylar blanket. Otzi had this really sophisticated woven grass cape, and the other guys, of course, had like wool blankets and tents and that kind of stuff. So there's my kit based on what those three were carrying in common. Pretty fun, cool little exercise, and that's all. I enjoyed doing block 1. I'm looking forward to doing block 2.